G'day everybody, welcome to part 10 of the Team Associated B5M build series. Part 10 we will be assembling the shocks. Well, a shock. Obviously there are 4, and since this procedure is a little time consuming, I've gone ahead and built 3, and so now I'll go through the procedure with you with the 4th shock. So we've got all the parts that are needed for this, and a little note, when you're assembling it, you'll come across with the springs, you'll see how there's like a little green bit of tubing, because when you get them, the springs are all the same colour. The little green tubing signifies the strength of the shock, the springs rather. So if we look here, this is assembled shock, but if you look at the spring, you'll see there's a white bit of tubing. Just looking in the instruction manual, the white spring is a heavier spring than the green. So yeah, so it's just and when you get it, you just actually just get the bit of tubing and just feed it on the coil, and yeah, it's pretty easy. Alright, so let's get into building it. So we have a piston, shock shaft, shock body, shock cap, collar, all the other necessary pieces. Now with the shock pistons, they're all 2 holes, but they're varying thicknesses. Now what I've done here, as you can see, I have got a bit of permanent marker, so that's a 1.7mm thickness shock piston. Even though it's 2 holes, the front shocks have 1.6mm thickness pistons, and yeah, so that's just to I find it a little bit interesting, because my user building kits, you know, you have 2 holes, 3 holes, 4 holes in the pistons for different shock rebound characteristics, but I guess this is a new way they're approaching it. So anyway, also with the threaded collar that goes on the shock body, there's a little rubber O-ring that goes inside there, so I'd make mention of that. Alright, so first of all we need 2 E-clips. Now when you're doing the E-clips, try and do it over like inwards of where you're working. So if you're doing it here, say, and you slip, and trust me, I've done it, you slip or you sneeze or cough, and next minute a little tiny E-clip just goes pew, and next minute you spend half an hour on the floor looking for this little E-clip. So when we're doing it, do it over the table, and just pinch it a little bit around the shock shaft so it doesn't fall away. Pliers, and just clicks in. Alright, now put the shock piston on, and again same procedure. Okay, be very careful. Damn it, and that's why I was saying to put the E-clip, do it over in there. Okay, so there we go. Now we need 2 spacers. These spacers limit the shock shaft travel, but we won't worry, we can tune that later. So it says to use 2, so we've done that. Okay, so let's move on to the shock body. Little O-ring around the bottom here, bigger O-ring at the top. Alright, now, pardon me, we have some plastic parts. You'll need to note the orientation of them. You probably can't see it too well on the camera here, but the thick part, one goes in the middle. So I'll show you the procedure. First of all, we put one in. You can use, of course, course it's gone in the wrong way. Alright. Now, you can use, it says to use shock oil. What I use is factory team green slime. It does help seal the shock and the O-rings better. So put a decent amount in. You can get, I get this at Tower Hobbies. It's quite cheap, it's like $2. So push the O-ring down. More green slime. Now we use the thick spacer. Push it down. More green slime. Another O-ring. Again, more green slime. Okay, now we put the last cap on over the top, well technically the bottom, and now put the little cap on and we do it tight. Now what we do is we get our shock shaft and do it upside down so that the spacers don't come out. Carefully put the shock shaft in. Okay, so now what we do with the towel, wipe off the excess green slime. Now you got a good seal. Now there are two ways of putting the shock eyelet on at the bottom. Now before I've been using one of these side cutters, and what you do is you get it right on the tip of the thread like that, and you just, so it's not cutting on the, touching the shock shaft that goes into the shock, and it's just above the thread, and then you can then put the eyelet on and then turn it on, but don't cramp down on it because you could probably end up cutting off the thread, and shock shafts aren't cheap. But I have this tool, where is it? This is a multi-purpose plier. If you can see, there's like grooves in there for the shock shaft to sit, and plus these also pop off like turnbuckles. So what we do is we put the shock shaft in, hold it down tight, and because it's a perfect circle around it, so we put this on. Okay. Okay. So that's on. Now we'll put the threaded collar on. Like I said, you know, this is a straightforward procedure, but it is a little time consuming, so that's why I've done 3 of the 4 shocks off camera. We'll just do it up all the way. We can tune it, like this will be just the assembly process. Once the buggy is built, go over it and tune it. Alright, so now for the sake of time I will be using this. Now this is a shock pump. Do not confuse it with something else. So we put it in and we will fill the shock up with oil. Okay, so first of all what we do now is push it up, bring it down, just because when you fill it, when you got the shock piston, when they put the oil down on top of it, there's that gap underneath there that the oil won't go through. through the holes, so you have to push the shock up so the oil will go through the holes and go around underneath the shock piston, and then you'll get all the air bubbles. So now what we'll do is we'll just put a little bit more oil in. Okay, now what we do, put this on, and this will suck the air out. Yeah, you probably can't see it too well on camera, but yeah, you can probably see it. It's sucking all the air bubbles out, so that's the whole idea of what it does. Because generally, if I'm building or changing oil in the shocks, I'll just fill it with oil, move the piston up down, put a bit more in, and I'll just let it sit for about half an hour. But we don't have half an hour, it'll just be me talking like a crazy person. So we'll just pump it a little bit more. There's just a few more air bubbles. Alright, that's starting to look pretty good. Alright, so now what we'll do, we got a little screw here. It's 1.5mm driver for it. You probably can't see it on camera, but there is like a little clear washer that goes over there. Put that on. But first of all, what we will do is we'll get some, it says to put a drop of oil in the top of the cap. We'll put 2 drops instead, that works for me. 1, 2. Okay. So now we get it, turn it up, and screw it on. A bit of oil will come out. Do it up tight. Now with the rag here, I don't want to get oil all over the towel. So what we'll do, because I don't want a lot of rebound, we have to bleed the shock, so we'll push it down. Probably can't see it, but a little bit of oil will start coming out of the shock. And we'll leave it there. Put the screw in. Nip it tight. And there we go. So push it in. I've got no rebound, that's how I want it at the moment. So now what we'll do is just wipe off any excess oil. Get the spring. Pull down the shaft. Now get the end cap. And there you go. That is an assembled shock, people. So that is the end of part 10. Part 11, what will we be doing? Alright, so part 10, what I'll do is off camera, is I'll install the shocks and I'll go over it, just because it's a cinch, it's easy. So part 11, we'll be installing the electronics. Stay tuned, people.